From crease to crease and corner to corner, Bettor Hockey Now is NHL fantasy and betting done better. Step into the dot for Bettor Hockey Now on the Bettor Sports Network.
Welcome in to another edition of Bettor Hockey Now on the Bettor Sports Network. It's going to be our sixth mock draft of the summer today, along with some other nuggets. We're going to focus on goalies today. I'm Adam Bernard, and with me, as always, are my right, my line mates, Mr. Anthony Rivera below me, and Mr. Christopher Merez to my left, right, if you're looking at the screen. How are we doing today, boys?
We're there. We're getting there. We are, as of tomorrow, you can, well, whenever you listen to this, for me, it'll be tomorrow. I can officially put on Green Day's song, Wake Me Up When September Ends, because we will be there.
That's right. We are recording this on the last day of August. And yeah, September's here, which means preseason hockey just a few weeks away, which means regular season hockey only about 6 weeks away. So, you know, like the dog days of summer are slowly, we're on the right side of the hill now. That's what matters. Ant, what's going on in Jersey?
Not much. I was in Florida for a little family vacation at Disney. And, we went to Epcot, and they have the World Showcase, all the countries. And we went to Canada, and I could not stop thinking as I was at Disney about hockey. And I also picked up a nice little gift for myself. They had a hockey jersey.
Ooh, Disney
style
hockey.
Canada jersey. Look at that.
Now that's
Might
pretty
be
sharp.
rocking this during the show at some point when it gets a little cooler.
That almost looks like the black Canada jerseys that they wore for a little while there.
Yeah.
That makes you 1/10 Canadian now, Anthony. You're almost there. 90% to go.
I like it.
Now you just need like a Molson Canadian in your hand or a Labatt Blue, and then you'll get like, what, another few percent? Is that how that works?
Correct. So Labatt 5 will give you like 5%. Once you eat a percent, that'll give you another. The Demorier might shave some years off your life, but it will add another 7% Canadian to you as well.
I've been more of a Molson guy myself. Where's the percentage on that? Is that just too commercialized?
I mean, that's fine. We won't talk poorly about Jeff Molson, right? The owner of the Montreal Canadiens. So that is definitely, he may say that is definitely Canadian at that point.
I remember in college, if we wanted to get the good beer, it was Labatt Blue, or as we called it, Batty Blue. You know, that was when you spent money on yourself in college. You know, usually it was Busch Light for me. So yes, today we are doing our sixth mock draft, and we're going to be focusing on goaltenders today. We've already done centers, wings, defensemen. So today it's the guys between the pipes we're going to be talking about. We'll do a little bit of that before we do our sixth mock draft of the year, and then we'll close talking a little bit about the announcement of the PWHL. One of the topics we've gotten into on this show a bunch is, owning the tandem versus trying to get a couple of aces and your preferences and stuff like that. Who are some tandems, that, we've maybe talked about in the past that you want to bring back up that you're either targeting, avoiding, who aces you'd really like to get your hands on? Let's start with you, Chris. Andrei Vasilevsky's a guy that you feel like gets disrespected. He's a guy you got to be looking at, no?
Correct. So I like to go with the stud, because as most teams in the league, right, and you can come up with whatever tandems you want, and the Vegas Golden Knights obviously proved the whole world wrong here, but in a regular world, right, you have a starting goalie and you have a backup, and that starting goalie is the one that you turn to when you need to win games. And my fantasy team is no different. I treat it the exact same way. I want a stud goalie up front, a guy that I know that I'm just gonna plug in there, and he's gonna play whatever. If he gets 55 games, great. If he's pushing 60, even better. I want one guy that I can focus on, and then my 2, 3, even if I reach for a fourth goalie, they'll be good, but they may be matchup dependent, right? So even if I have a stud goalie and he's got a tough matchup, it doesn't matter. I still roll him out because he's good enough to be in that situation, right? I don't want to have to worry about the tandems and which ones who I'm playing and drafting a handcuffed already. There's not enough goalie spots in my mind on your bench to start hoarding all these guys just for matchups. So I like one guy. I want to roll him out there every week. I want to worry about something else in my life, not who I'm starting.
And
I think for me, it depends on first, what's the draft? What's the point system? What is where are you drafting in the draft? Where are you picking your spot? But if I could, and we did this in the last draft. Obviously, I'm big on the tandems, but last draft, picking at 10 or 11, I think you really should go for a goalie, even if it's not your first pick, but definitely on the snake around, you should get a goalie because the top 3 or 4 are going to be gone by the time they come back to you, I think. And if you're taking one of those top guys, like I took Shesterkin that time, Sorokin, Vasilevsky, those guys aren't going to last into the 3 to 4 rounds. So you're going to want to take one of those guys. Now, if you're getting heavy on the scoring, on defense and offense, and you're getting these guys at the top of the order where you're drafting, and some of these goalies go off, maybe you start thinking about, can I? And this is what I've also done: Gustafsson and Marc-Andre Fleury. That's a tandem that I've picked. And it's worked out for me. You got a good tandem in Carolina. There's actually 3 guys now in Carolina. I don't know how that's going to work out. So you might be able to work something out with them. And I'm trying to think, what was the other team that
Did you not do Pittsburgh at some point, maybe, or Vegas?
Boston, I think it was.
Boston.
I think it was Boston. Swayman and Ullmark. I mean, if you can get Linus Ullmark, who is really good, he's top 6 here, NHL.com. If you can get him, and let's say you wait a little bit, I do think you can get Swayman at a good spot. I feel like I don't know. He is better than definitely Vanacek and I guess Soros too. But I don't know. There are ways to do it, but you do want to get the top goalies because in certain leagues they get a lot more points than some of these goal scorers. So you're going to want to take advantage of that.
So for me, in real life, I prefer a workhorse goalie with a backup that's going to play 20, kind of like what the Rangers have right now, although I cannot see them playing Jonathan Quick more than like 10, 15. Like, please don't play him more than that. But in fantasy, I used to be more of a workhorse guy. Now I'm a tandem guy for a couple of reasons. I do agree. If you're drafting towards the end of the round, you got to get one guy there. Otherwise, it could be you could be scraping the middle tier by the time it gets back to you. Obviously, you want to, if you're going to do a tandem, you want to do a tandem from winning teams. This year, you look at the team like the Devils. Yeah, like Vanacek by himself, not great. Schmid, we'll see, how he rebounds. But we know the Devils going to win a lot of games. So the 2 of those guys together, if you own them, and going to win. If it gets a league where goalie wins are very valued, that's a great tandem to have. Same thing in Pittsburgh with Jari and Nedeljkovic, and then again, LA too. Cam Talbot, Phoenix Copley by themselves, but together. So yeah, and I understand that you don't want to have to worry about who's starting that night, but for somebody like me, one of the first things I'm doing in the morning is checking the lineups, and then on the West Coast, I do have the advantage of some of the morning skates already happening by the time I get into my day. So just checking for goalies, not a big deal for me to see which one is starting that night. But yeah, I lean more tandem. But hey, if you can fall back to the workhorse strategy easier than and to me, the other part of it too is that if I'm going with the tandem, that backup has got to be somebody that I know I can snag later on. Like, yeah, having both Ullmark and Swayman are great. I don't know if I want to pay the draft capital to have both of those guys as good as they are and as high as they're going to be ranked. Whereas if I take Jari and then Nedeljkovic late, nobody's going after them. The backup there. So that's my 2 cents. Now, is there a goalie that you're avoiding that maybe others would be targeting? Chris, start with you.
So we've mentioned him quickly, and I see he is way in that top 10. It is Jeremy Swayman. I'm not paying that price for a backup. That's what he is. Boston is not going to be a better team because on paper, they don't look as good as they were last year. They had historical numbers. They're going to come down to earth because that's just the law of average. And Swayman was good, but he wasn't great at all. And if Ullmark is going to get the bulk of those starts, why am I drafting Swayman in the top 10 when I can take Philip Gustafsson right behind him, right? Or even, if I take Vanacek, even if I want to live with a wonky knee and Frederik Andersen, all those are guys who to me are going to start. and they're going to get the majority of it, unless Swayman is playing 40 games and then Allmark's playing the other 40, which I don't think they're going to do. Like, someone has to start there, and I'm not paying the 8th goalie off the board, which is what, in a 12-team league we're talking about early 4th. I'm taking a backup goalie early 4th round when I can possibly get a player with some upside and 70 plus points. I'll pass.
I completely agree. It's not to me. There's other things I could in that round that I can address and deal with goaltending later. I mean, if it's a situation where Swayman, falls a few rounds later to me, that's a different story. But yeah, not where he's going now. Who's a goalie you're avoiding at?
Just bouncing off of the Swayman, I did think he was a little too high on that top list there, so I'm glad I'm not the only one. But it may, I don't know if this may come as a surprise to anyone, but I'm going with, the goalie of my New Jersey Devils, Vitek Vanacek. I mean, and I don't know if this will affect him coming into this year, but the way he ended last season, losing time to Akira Schmid, who was the 3rd goalie on the team in the playoffs. He gave up 21 goals in 7 games. I don't know how this is going to affect him. Maybe he gets over it. Maybe it's something that he can play well in the regular season. But he also has to think about now that the Devils may make a move at some point to trade for a goalie. Connor Hellebuck is one of the guys that has been talked about. If they're close to, taking over that division or making a big push into the playoffs, they might want to have to make a trade for a goalie, because going in the season with Vanacek and Schmid, okay, but if you have high hopes about getting to a Stanley Cup, and that's what should be on their mind, let's be real, that should be the next step on this team's mind, is making it to the Stanley Cup final. They're going to need a lot better play from their goalie tandem, and I just don't know if Vitek Vanacek is the guy. I mean, obviously, if he could fall to you, that's fine, and I think in the drafts that we've done, I don't know if he's really been picked at all. At least from my knowledge, I don't remember seeing him picked until the later rounds. So he's definitely a guy that I would kind of avoid early. And I kind of was surprised that he was, what was he, a top? Well, yeah, there you go. 11th. Yeah, I'm surprised he was 11th.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw that too. That's the NHL.com article from last Monday, I believe. That was one of the more recent lists I could find for this. I do think that if you do end up with Vanacek, you have to take Schmid towards the end or whenever you feel safe getting him as an insurance policy, for the reason you said. If the Devils really are serious about going after those championship aspirations, it is not going to be with one of the 2 current netminders on their roster. So if you're going to get one, get both. So that way, I'm assuming one of those goalies would go back in a trade to Winnipeg or whoever. If that happens, make sure you have the other one, and that way you're at least covered in that regard. Yeah, maybe you don't have Hellebuck in the starter, but you'll have one or the other at least for then. And then maybe you try and make a deal for it. For me, the goalie I'm avoiding, Freddie Anderson. I hate 3-headed monster crease. And they play, and, Freddie's hurt. We know he's a little fragile. So they're going to be careful with him. They're going to give him those nights off when they can. So between him, Ranta, and Kochekov, I don't know how the split's going to be, but anytime, three's company when a goalie crease for me. It's just, especially if it's not known that, all right, one of these guys is the odd man out. Right now, I mean, they kind of all play a even amount. So, and even if Anderson's healthy, I still think they're going to take it easy on him. So, that's a guy I'm avoiding. Now, who do you got for sleeper goalies that you're considering that maybe weren't in that top 15, Chris?
Well, I inside the top 15, I'll take one here because he's starting to grow on me a little bit. And I feel like Devon Levi started off in the friend zone and now he could possibly be wife material. So it is exceptionally hard to trust a rookie goalie in the NHL. The kid is what? He's 21. Okay. And he is going to the Buffalo Sabres. But we've all agreed that the Buffalo Sabres are at least a somewhat better hockey team on paper. Mm-hmm. And to my shock, when I was looking at this, Buffalo missed the playoffs by 1 point. I thought they were 12 points out. They were 1 point out outside of the Panthers. And the Panthers are paying Sergei $10 million to do whatever he does. It's hard to trust a rookie goalie. We've seen future Hall of Fame goalies Fleury in his first year struggle, right? Carey Price in his first year struggle. It is tough for goalies to come in and have success. That being said, nobody outside of maybe the a Buffalo sports fan can tell me who the 2 goalies on their roster are, because I didn't know until this morning, until I was reminded that it was Eric Comrie and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. And I was like, okay, well, he has the crease to himself. So all he can do is lose it. That's all he can do. Buffalo is going to be a fun team to watch, which means maybe Devon Levi ends up in what I call the Martin Jones syndrome, which is a goals against average is pretty up there. Save percentage is not very good, but he's going to finish with 35 wins because he's just going to play a lot. And it's going to be that back and forth hockey. The Atlantic Division is not very good, right? There are some teams that are going to regress. The Metro has a lot of those, Columbus teams in there. So there's opportunities here for Buffalo to do well. And I think his over-under on wins is set at 24.5. So again, there's a lot of things that I may not trust about him, but as a 13th goalie off the board, and I think that is a reach at 13. I think a lot of people have him farther back than that. So he may be 13 on NHL.com's list, but you may end up and show up in your Yahoo or your ESPN draft and they haven't ranked probably outside of the top 20. So I would have no issue as a second goalie going with Levi, because who's taking his spot? Nobody. And volume at one point, if you're in a league that doesn't penalize you for losses, if you're in a league that rewards saves and save bonuses for daily, DraftKings does, he has all that working for him. So if it doesn't work out, all right, fine. Then you can go and pick up whoever is there. But it is his net to lose. I understand the risk. I will definitely take, because that's how you win championships, right? You got to take risks to win them. If you're safe, you're going to finish, eliminated in the first round and you had a good time. Or you can try to win the championship on draft day.
Now, I'm not ready to move in on your goalie, but I certainly see why you're smitten with Devon Levi. I think that's a good word to use. In a dynasty league, now that changes when I'm taking him. Because if I'm not going for it this year, now all of a sudden he's a top 5 goalie in a dynasty league, without a doubt. It's Shesterkin probably 1, Sorokin probably 2, and then Vasilevsky, Edinger 3, and then probably Vasilevsky 4. I might even take Levi 5 in a dynasty league draft as the 5th goalie off the board. Anthony, who is a sleeper guy you like?
I just talked about Vanacek and how the playoffs might affect him. I'm going to go opposite on that. What about Adin Hill from Vegas? Because he's, I think, ranked 26th on the NHL.com rankings. You look at what he did to help this team win the cup last season, and with Logan Thompson, and on the article as well says that he's still, injured. He's going to get most of the playing time to start, and they'll probably ease Logan Thompson back into his role. I don't know if it's going to become a split at some point, but Adin Hill's definitely a guy who has the utmost confidence after winning that Stanley Cup. He's got a good team in front of him, and they're definitely going to try to recreate that magic. And let's see what Adin Hill's made of. Not saying that he should be a top guy to take, one of the top guys, but as a sleeper, I don't think you could go wrong with drafting Adin Hill. And that also leads to a tandem. You can get Logan Thompson and put those two together.
It's funny. You look at some of the top teams or the expected top teams in the league this year. Vegas, neither goalie is really going to be high on anybody's list. Devils, same list. You can make the argument even with Pittsburgh and Jarry. Edmonton, with Stuart Skinner. So you're talking some of the top teams in the league, potential division winners, and their goalies are just nowhere to be found in the top 5 or 10 pretty much. So interesting, there I agree. You could definitely get value for Hill, although I got to address certain Sharks fans that are like, see what Hill did when he went to listen, Vegas has a very, very good defense. You take one of us 3 and put in net. We're going to win a game or 2 for Vegas behind that defense. Not a lot, but we'll win a game. Adin Hill was not doing that. Getting a 4th round pick for him was pretty good. So just leave Mike Greer alone, please. You're
telling me San Jose and Vegas are not good, are not the same defensive team?
No, believe it or not, no. I mean, Eric, oh my God, it's just like, know what you're watching. And there were people that talk sense into that person, but it's like, Mike Greer is doing a very good job out of the box and he's a brand new GM. He's never been a GM of a team. Just let him do his job. And I'm not even a Sharks fan. Let him do his job, please. I digress. Besides the goalie tandems I already mentioned as, potential sleepers, Pittsburgh, LA, and the Devils. If you're looking for more of an individual route, Yeah, Thatcher Demko may not get a lot of wins, but he'll certainly get you saves on that Canucks team. And Jacob Markstrom, bounce back factor for sure. Is he a goalie one? Maybe I don't want to go into a season with my goalie one, but if I really wait and he's my one, you might be pleasantly surprised. Maybe you get some bounce back value there. So those would be the goalies I would consider as a sleeper. And I think if you guys are ready, I think it's time to head on over for another mock draft here.
Let's do it.
Now, before we do that, start a free 7-day trial of Fantasy Alarm's All-Pro subscription and get the Fantasy Football Draft Guide and cheat sheet for free. Listen, fantasy football season's right around the corner. And then listen, that's going to include a lot of other things, your DFS playbooks. We're a hockey show. There's going to be plenty of hockey content coming up here in the coming weeks. And once we hit October on fantasyalarm.com. So just go to fantasyalarm.com/cheat sheet. Take advantage of that. And you won't be disappointed. All right. So we're going to get going here. And fellas, on this mock draft, for the first time in Bettor Hockey Now history, we have 12 human participants in this mock draft coming up here very shortly.
Let's go.
It might slow the pace of the draft down a little bit compared to the computer. It'll give us time to talk, but it will be nice to not have,
Remember when it was just us three just hanging out?
Yeah.
Mocking.
Do you remember the first time we had another human in there? We were like, oh man,
what is this person doing here?
Like, I'll send you the restream link. Come hang out.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna get going here, and about 15. The clock's counting down. I'll bring it up on the screen when it starts. Anthony's gonna be picking in the 9 hole, Chris in the 10 hole, me in the 11 hole. So it will be interesting to see who gets sniped when. Chris is right in the middle there. It's gonna be interesting who can screw who here. So we'll see. Now we can't really. We've talked about goalies a bunch today. Let's go with our own teams for a minute here. We talked plenty about the Devils. For me, with the Rangers, is Shesterkin still your number one, or is there somebody else you're looking at?
I think Shesterkin's number one still. Vasilevsky right there at number two. I do, just outside of, fantasy hockey, I'm pretty sure you are a little concerned if he gets hurt, that Jonathan Quick is the guy to take over the team.
Concerned would not be the word. Definitely more than that. But yeah, listen, it's kind of like the same philosophy as Peyton Manning's backup being Jim Sorgi. Like, if Peyton Manning goes down, the season's over. So it's same thing with the Rangers. So I don't mind it as much. But again, you would like to have a better insurance policy that wasn't able to crack the Vegas Golden Knights goalie rotation last year. And yes, I know Hill played well enough to earn it, but you would think Quick would have been well enough to even play, maybe, be the backup there, but that wasn't even the case. So we got about 1:40 till the draft. Jake Allen, Samuel Montembeault. Do you have any thoughts on the Canadiens goaltending situation?
First one to stop a puck can stay in net.
Okay.
That's as simple as it to me. To me, it's, maybe it's Montembeault's nets just because he is the younger goalie, and I think he has the potential to be there. I think Jake Allen is a great backup. I think that's what he was brought into Montreal to do. He's played a lot of hockey. He has serviced the Montreal Canadiens very well. I would be perfectly okay if they moved on from him just for him. You know what I mean? Like, he's done his service. I know he's got a Stanley Cup. He deserves, he's done his part. At this point, I would just go up to Jake and say, hey man, if you want to be here, great. But you're probably playing half the games at best, if healthy. If you don't want to be here, we won't take it personally. We understand that, the future may be maybe 2-3 years away. You may want to do something else with your career while you have the opportunity. So if you want to be somewhere else, let us facilitate you. And we do know that Ken Hughes is more than willing to facilitate a player to wherever he needs to be. So I'm okay with that if they just wanted to let him be somewhere else. But I have no hope in either one of those goalies being not even just fantasy relevant, just relevant, period.
There are definitely some cities where being on a bad team sucks more than others, but Montreal is not one of those cities. Montreal is absolutely a city all right, yeah, my team's going to lose most nights, but hey, I could live here for a few years and play hockey a few nights a week, no problem. So we got the draft underway. No surprise there. Connor McDavid goes first overall to Frederic. The imposter ant is on the clock at number 2. We'll see what he does. I mean, I don't know why you're not taking Leon Draisaitl right now, but hey, what are you going to do? Looks
I'm
like
interested to note here in these rankings and the way that the ADPs have played out. There is not a single goalie in the top 15 overall picks here. Each one of them has been bumped down. So I guess if you're collecting that ADP data, which I'm sure they do, not many people are banking on goalies early. And I am very okay with that, actually. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I was going to say that's to our advantage here.
And I think, yeah, I mean, listen, this is the goalie edition of Bettor Hockey Now, but I think it's super important. At the end of the round, maybe you get like a Shesterkin, but I think it's important to really have that skater that's going to contribute in a lot of offensive categories. Get your cornerstone before you worry about the goaltending, unless somebody falls into your lap. So we see here at third overall, Lee took David Pastrnak. Nate McKinnon, 4th overall to Ian. Austin Matthews off his recent contract extension going 5th overall. And then Mikko Rantanen going to Marvin the Martian at number 6 there. Certainly have no problems with that pick. Kim on the clock right now. We'll see what she's going to do. And then coming up soon is you got the 9, 10, 11 slot for the BHN crew. So we'll see what we do and who falls into our lap here. As you see, Tkachuk still on the board, Jason Robertson, actually both Tkachuk brothers. And then there's Ilya Sorokin, who's going to be the first one to take that goalie there, or Shesterkin. Could it be one of us? We'll see. Matthew Tkachuk goes 7th overall.
Come on, Kim.
Looks like Kim was on auto pick, or no?
She also has access to the players I put on the queue list here. I see, so that's unfortunate again.
I'm not queuing. I'm just going live, baby. Let's see. So Jason Robertson, no surprise there. So far, the top 10 picks, pretty much 8 picks, I should say, going as expected. Anthony gets his guy with Jack Hughes there. He gets a top 10 player. B gets a guy who's going to watch all 82 games. So definitely.
I was actually thinking about maybe taking Rantanen, as he was just a few spots, where they had him ranked. And as soon as he went, that kind of made my decision a whole lot easier.
There you go. And Chris, with his philosophy of good defenseman, gets the first one off the board there, and Cale Makar. I got to go Brady Tkachuk here because hits matter, and to get a guy that gets that kind of numbers and across the board, and I think he may even have a bigger season in Ottawa. Give me Brady Tkachuk on the left wing to open the draft, and then it goes Nikita Kucherov at 13 and Mitch Marner on the turn. I am back on the clock now. I'm going to do it. Screw it. I haven't gotten Shesterkin at all yet. I'm abandoning my goalie tandem philosophy here, and I'm going with the ace. So Shesterkin at 14. Chris back on the clock here. He's taken Cale Makar with his first pick. Who is he going to grab with his second pick here?
I've had no exposure to this man in any of our drafts yet, and I feel like I'm missing out. So I've completed my Cale, and now I will add my Kirill to it.
Cale and Kirill. It sounds like a cool.
I've had no exposure to Kirill Kaprizov. And I feel like that's unfortunate.
I mean, listen, the guy's going to put the puck in the net a ton, and on the right side, it can't go wrong with that. If Rantanen's number 1, he's probably number 2 on the right side. And now Anthony back on the clock here. You got Jack Hughes with the first pick, and he's going to go get Vasilevsky with the second pick. So Vasilevsky over Sorokin because of the wins?
Yes. I do kind of value that a little bit. And from what I've seen from the Islanders and their ability not to be able to score and win some of these games, I want to go with the more, proven in Vasilevsky. And it's, just for the one season. So I'll take it.
I remember when I used to be able to get Vasilevsky in the 4th round heading into the 5th, once upon a time in our first mock. It's like well, he's not even little, actually. My giant boy is growing up and moving up the draft board.
It's you're proud to watch it happen, but it's also sad to watch happen because you're going to.
I can no longer get that value anymore.
Yeah. That's what happens. I mean, your kids grow up and they got to go off on their own and start their own hockey games and things like that. So good for him.
He's literally grown up. What is he, like 6'6", like 2 something? What an absolute beast.
him and Victor Hedman they'd make for good bouncers in retirement. And there goes Alexander Ovechkin at 19. I think that's probably and then Crosby right there. So I think that's where you're looking for those guys. In previous mock drafts, we were able to get them later. That is not the case here. There's a more appropriate place for Elias Pettersson. 21 versus 3 or 4 overall. True. But again, we were at the mercy of the ESPN mocks. So. When we go back to those goalies, is it Shesterkin, Sorokin, Vasilevsky, Ettinger? That's your top, like they're their own class pretty much, right? That's the top tier right there. Anybody
I
else
think so.
Throw in? Anybody else you would remove?
Man, what is the disrespect for Connor Hellebuck? I understand that the Winnipeg Jets may not be a team that they were because of Pierre-Luc Dubois being there, but when you talk about a workhorse, he is it. I am also hoping that they can't figure out his contract. Everybody knows he wants to get paid and he wants to go somewhere to win. He's not interested in rebuilding. He's earned his money. I mean, and I would love to see him in a Devils uniform, and I'm hoping he can move before the deadline to a very good New Jersey Devil teams. I don't care about the shares that anybody has in Akira Schmid or Vitek Vanasek because I'm just a selfish human being when it comes to fantasy. So if I'm a Connor Hellebuck owner at this point, I want him out of I want him out of Winnipeg like day one after I've drafted him, and preferably to a team that's going to win like 45, 50 games easy.
Nothing wrong with that analysis there, Bo. As we were talking about the goaltenders, Sorokin and Ettinger both go. Adam Fox, second defenseman off the board at 25. Rupe Hintz at 26, and Tim Stützle at 27. Braden Point at 28. So the draft moving now as Lenhard on the clock here. What about Georgiev? He's ranked pretty high. Do you see Colorado just letting him kind of be a workhorse this year, or is it still going to be more of a little bit of a goaltending share there in the Mile High City? As he goes off the clock at 29.
I think as long as he's healthy, he plays, right? Like that's the theory. You didn't go out, get him, and let Philip Grubauer and Darcy Kemper walk for nothing, right? So he's got to come in and he's got to play as much as he humanly can. And,
Pavel Francouz, as I believe how you say his last name. He's been there for them, but I mean, like you said, if Georgiev's the guy, you got to play him. So I got 3 picks till my turn here. William Nylander goes. Steven Stamkos goes. We look at there's only 2 of the top defensemen off the board. There's still some quality D1 men there. There goes Artemi Panarin in a much more appropriate 32nd slot than like the 8th round, like he was going in some of those ESPN drafts. When you look at the center position, some of the top ones off the board were definitely out of the top tier, maybe out of the second tier, into the second tier now. Anthony on the clock, left wing. Still some quality presence there, as well as right wing. Still early in the draft years. And there he goes. He gets Linus Ullmark. So he's going to get his goaltending situation started with the reigning Vezina winner, as Chris is now on the clock. And he's going to go with his defense, and he's going to go with 2 of the top 3 there. Let's see here. All players. I know right
the
wing.
Disrespect to Rasmus Dahlin on Yahoo. Oh, my God.
And there goes Hellebuck. So I'm sure with Sean at the turn there, felt like he was going to get him, knowing that I had Shesterkin. So he goes goalie on the turn.
Nice.
Ooh. So
welcome to the show, Sean. By the way, welcome.
Well, indeed, he is definitely that was a strong move there. Let's see here. I got to make a pick. Pick. And I'm sorry, Ant. I don't mean to double you down. But I'm going to take Meyer and Hamilton there. I'm going to go Devils with both my picks. We all know how I feel about right wing and how important it is to get a good one. And, I don't like where defenseman's going at this point. I don't want to miss out on getting a top one. So I got to go Dougie Hamilton there.
Man, gifts keep on giving to me today. I feel like it's Christmas. I have probably 3 of the top 5 defensemen in hockey right now, and they're all on one team.
Hey, listen, I could have gone Carlson there too, but I just think that Pittsburgh's going to put up a ton of points too, but I think the Devils are going to score 4 and 5. They're going to be betting a lot of overs in Devil games, I think, this season. Now, Anthony on the clock here. Let's take a look at his team. So early on, Hughes and Sebastian Aho. He's got his top 2 centers position there. He's got both his goalies there. He's also going with the full ace strategy, Be interesting to see if he tries to grab Swayman at some point. But and you might have the best goalie tandem in the league here. It doesn't matter how the rest of the draft goes.
Yeah, I thought of doing a little bit of different strategy as I'm always taking the tandem. Maybe that later on will fall to me. We don't know how that's going to go, but I'm pretty confident with these two guys in net for sure.
And then on the other side, Chris has yet to address the crease. But I mean, you look at the amount of production you're going to get from the blue line. Your fourth defenseman there could be some third pairing banger to get those other categories. And
it could be me. I could probably play defense at this point on my own fantasy team, and I think I'd still be in a good position. I love the discrepancy between like two different platforms that we've done it on, because in no world on ESPN would we be able to get either two. I remember having to take Dahlin on the turn of 2 after taking McCarr because there was no way they were going to do it. And then Erik Karlsson shot up the draft board once he was traded. So there's not going to be a lot of hitting from my defensemen. They are not going to be throwing their weight around, but they are going to be doing a lot of everything else that I keep reiterating. And you could probably just clip every part of me saying it, put it in a montage, and it would sound the exact same, which is defensemen and players who shoot the puck and who can score goals and rack up points. And that's what I have here.
Now, on the other hand, I've got, I'm going with a spread out, balanced approach. I've got my ace goalie. I've got my top defenseman. I've got a strong right wing. I got a strong left wing, but I pay for that at center, because when you look at now, there's still plenty of quality centers out there, but the top tier is gone. Now, whether the question
if you had to fill center, though, I feel like that's the easiest position to fill. Even if you waited on it, you'll find good centermen, because you'll get a lot of like dual position eligibility out of it, right? You'll get players who will get it at some point. You'll find them.
And if it's a face-off league, you can definitely find face-off guys that maybe aren't going to contribute much offense, but they'll definitely get you that category for sure. So speaking of centers, there goes Sasha Barkov, another good puck defenseman that goes at 53 to Quinn Hughes. Thatcher Demko at 51. Philip Gustafsson from Minnesota goes 2 picks before him. Maybe a bit of a reach on Demko, but listen, he's going to play a lot. We know that. So he's going to get his opportunities. And Lee has left the draft room. Good riddance, Lee. Let's take a look at your team now that you left. As we're coming back on the clock here, Anthony is going to be making his pick soon. So Lee, I could see why Lee left. I don't love that team.
Poor Lee, man.
Poor Lee. Maybe something happened. Maybe like he got a call and he had to go or something. Clayton Keller goes. There he goes. Now, were you going to take him at the next pick, sir?
Yes, he was on my queue. I've made a terrible mistake.
You wouldn't have gotten him because I would have taken him, but he's gone. So
I feel like I dodged a bullet. I feel like it's easier to digest coming from somebody I don't know than having it come from you. And so I'll live that. All of this is now.
I'm taking Nico Hischier and moving Jack Hughes to left wing since he's left wing eligible.
Let's see
I guess
here.
I'm just gonna keep. You know what? I haven't seen this man on my team very often. I will take Jordan Kyrou.
All right.
Good morning. And
let's see. What am I going to do here? Now, I am thin at center. That doesn't mean I want to reach. And we look at left wing. I'm going to look at right wing. I got 15 seconds to do this. I don't want to be too heavy on the Senators. I don't love anybody there right now. So I'm going to just screw it. Let's do it. Let's get Connor Bedard. He's going to be my top center here. He's going to get plenty of opportunities in Chicago. And I mean, like we talk about, minus is going to be atrocious, but who cares? I'm not worried about that. And Sean, a little too quick on the turn for me. Jake Gensel and Kevin Fiala. Love that Fiala pick there. Somebody I was considering, but unfortunately will not be able to take. You know what? Give me Jack Eichel. I know I can get center value later, but I mean he's still sitting there, and now I'm happy with my center depth, and it seems like Mr. Moraes is not happy about that pick.
I didn't even queue him up. I just had him over my. You know what? I'm going to go a different route here. I guess that was my second option, and I will gladly take it. I will take Dylan Cousin.
There you go.
Buffalo is going to do fun stuff, and I am a fan of fun. I am being sniped left, right, and center. I feel like I'm on a battlefield somewhere, and there's just bullets are hitting me.
I apologize. It's not intentionally. I don't mean it to be.
I'm not trying to block shots, and yet here I am still blocking shots.
Well, and there goes Swayman. So Swayman goes at 66. How do we feel about that spot for Swayman? Appropriate, high? What do we think? Fair? 6th round? I don't want to pay it,
Yeah,
though.
I think that's fair.
I don't want to pay that, though.
6? No, I'll take that. I'll be okay with that.
If he's my goalie 2, no way. If he's my goalie 1, I mean, I honestly like what Anthony did. If you're going to go ace, then go get 2 aces. And that way, if one of them gets hurt for the year, it's like, okay, I still have another ace. So we'll see what happens here as the next picks move on. Matt Zuccarello goes 67th overall to Kevin the Martian. Maybe a tad too high for Zuccarello. A little bit of a reach there, but not too bad. We still got plenty of value here on the board in terms of center and left wing. Let's look at the goaltenders here as Logan Thompson goes.
Ooh.
There goes Miro Heiskanen. Let's see here, ADP. So Bobrovsky, Anderson. So now we're in that, secondary or maybe tertiary goalie tier here. Let's go. So Heiskanen goes. I think that's a defenseman in the late 6th round. That's a good spot for him. Still a D1, but probably the end of that D1 tier here. So we got a couple people back on auto pick. Some people have remained. Ian, Frederic, Kev, Nathan. Thank you, everybody else. Yeah, go scratch. Svechnikov and Stone back to back there. Kreider, my boy, and Chris's mortal enemy goes at 72. That's a good spot for him. I was getting him much later in other drafts, but he needs to be more in that 7th round. There goes Brandon Montour and Jamie Benn. Probably a bit of a reach for Jamie Benn, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Man, who did Dylan Larkin hurt?
He gets forgotten about. He gets
forgotten.
He gets very forgotten about. And I don't have high expectations for the Red Wings this year, but he's still gonna.
He's an excellent player who just, I don't know what it is, gets forgotten for some reason.
Well, you did mention that there's a lot of depth.
Oh, there we go. We corrected it. Somebody corrected it. Thank you, Lee.
There goes Brent Burns at 76. Still, it seems like defenseman starting to trickle off the board a little more here. Something I may have to consider coming up. Let's see here. Goaltenders, like we said, still in that tertiary tier. Right wing, still some quality out there. Toffoli, Marchessault, Drake Batherson, but starting to get a little thin here. You don't have that second right wing. There goes Josh Morrissey. Certainly nothing wrong with that. And then you look on the left wing, still some quality players there left on the left wing. So maybe a position I'm a little more willing to wait on right now. Center 2, also a lot of quality there. So we'll see what happens here in the next few picks. There goes Geno Malkin, Claude Giroux. Nathan now on the clock. He takes Moritz Seider. Strong defensive pick there. Now we're going to see what Anthony does as we pull his team up on the screen. He's got he says he's going to move Hughes over to the left wing, so keep that in mind. He's already got his left wing, and he might be looking another center. He's got
Hughes and Heischer.
We are going to shore up the left wing and take Pierre-Luc Dubois here.
Good pick. I was looking at him at my pick, but I won't say I was sniped.
Is he just left wing eligible?
As of right now, yeah, which makes not a lot of sense because he's. But yeah, again, maybe Yahoo's position because Pavelski should also qualify as a right wing. Looking at him as just a center.
I'm going to take the future 60-point defenseman this year because somebody's got to play on that Edmonton quarterback system. That is my Evan Bouchard.
All right, well, that's one that maybe you could say you got back at me.
That's it was that time. Again, absolute gift. Thank you.
Listen, I don't mean to just be a jerk here, but Tyler Toffoli's still sitting on the board. He's going to go to a team that is going to generate more offense than Calgary did last year. Like my feelings on right wing, so
absolutely.
I'm very happy with Meyer Toffoli as my.
Adam, what size do you want your New Jersey Devils jersey so Adam can get it tailored?
I want if they ever make a black Devils jersey, that would be the one I would want.
That would be it.
The current color, like the red one, but just flip the red and the black as the color scheme. Perfect. Oh, I'm back on the clock already. As Carlson and Lindholm go, I was probably going to try and grab Carlson there. Now, not so much. Don't love my situation here. So, I was going to take Pavelski and clock ran out on me. I did not want Jared McCann. I was going to grab Pavelski there.
I am going to take a goalie. I feel like I let that slip away from me a little bit. So I'm going to take the man of the hour in Levi.
So Jared McCann last year. Yeah, let's pull up his stats from last year here. As Anthony makes his pick. 36 goals, 29 assists. He ain't doing that again. And that is not a guy I wanted to take there. That is a bad job by me. I don't know. I mean, Jared McCann kind of bounced around the league a little bit and then never really found his home. He finally got his home in Seattle. I'm not saying he's gonna have a bad season, but I don't think he's gonna get north of 35 again. And then let's see, Anthony take Vince Dunn. So he dresses the blue line a little bit there. Then Devon Taves, Sergei Bobrovsky, Tyson Barrie. There goes Vanacek, Nikolai Ehlers. Chris not happy about that. And there goes Freddie Anderson. I think that's a good spot for Anderson. If you could still get him, around that's the way to go. There goes what I should have picked is Pavelski, falling all the way to my boy Frederic at number 96. As we open up round number 9 now. He's got to make his first pick around number 9, and he takes Jonathan Huberdeau, hoping he'll bounce back. There goes Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, Drew Doughty, and there goes Tristan Jarry. That was going to be my goalie too.
He wasn't making it past me, Adam. I'm sorry.
All right, well then, okay, fine.
So again, I've been hurt,
and I know I hurt you, and you're looking to hurt me back. So I mean, we got hurt by. We just got hurt by the wonderful people who decided to join us today. That's correct. I mean, we do appreciate their company, especially if they've hung around through the draft and did not go on auto draft. As looks like we're the draft starting to move a little bit quicker here as Anthony's back on the clock. There goes Johnny Gaudreau at 104. I mean, there's real good value there for a guy who's going to be the top point getter on a pretty bad team, but he's going to get a lot of minutes. Few rounds to go here. We got 16 rounds deep. We are just entering into round. We're closing out round number 9 here. Chris on the clock. Anthony gets Justin Falk there. So I got to imagine Chris is looking at a goaltender.
That is false, actually. I don't know. I don't know what this individual did as well. The rankings are off. I'm excited for them to be balanced out one day. I'm going to take Cole Caulfield because he's not scoring 31 goals this year. So I will take that value all day, every day.
I think that's a smart pick there. Let's see here. That the Pavelski thing stings me. It's kind of ruined half of my draft. I'm gonna have to go. Listen, Pietrangelo. I'll take him as my D2. There goes Carter Verhaeghe. And who else is Mr. Sean gonna take here on the turn? To open up a Radko Gudas. Don't know how I feel about that pick. I understand why they're taking him there. You could have gotten him a lot later. I'm going to grab Stu Skinner here. Bottom line is he's going to get a lot of wins in Edmonton. I mean, he's going to give up goals, but he'll get me those wins. And it seems like Chris was going to take Stu Skinner there.
I was not. I just don't want to do this next pick because this is as I mentioned earlier, the Martin Jones effect. And I don't like it, but I guess that's where we are in our lifetime right now. So I'm going to take Ilya Samsonov.
Yeah, I wouldn't be thrilled about taking him either, but you kind of have to at this point.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. The Maple Leafs are going to win a lot of hockey games. They're going to steamroll the Atlantic. They'll probably steamroll the Metropolitan a little bit. So I just need Samsonov to be healthy, right? Because he still won 27 games last year in the time that he played, and he put up a great goals against average and a really good save percentage. So if he can give me just that, I would be happy. I would be very happy with him.
No concern about a Wall backing him up there.
No. I think if they wanted Joseph Wall to become something, they would have never signed Martin Jones.
Fair point. Anthony grabs Jesper Bratt at number 112. Getting another Devil onto his team. Love the value there. And these are one of these guys. If they're still there, you can't let them go past you.
I'm surprised that he lasted that long on there. So if he's on my bench, I can't go wrong there either.
There goes Batherson, Kane, Corpusalo, Tony D'Angelo, as we're almost at the end of round 10. And there goes Jonathan Marchessault to close out round 10. And then Nichushkin, a guy that Chris has been targeting later in drafts, goes at 121. Darnell Nurse, Thomas Shabbat, great pick there at 123 if you need a defenseman. Still some goaltending on the board here. Morgan Riley goes, love that pick. Probably would have taken him if he was still there. I kind of see who I want to take coming back here. If one of you fine gentlemen don't take him first. Marc-Andre Fleury there goes at 126. What do we think in Minnesota this year? It's going to be more Gustafsson than Fleury, correct? We think probably maybe like a 65-35 kind of share, 60-40.
I still think Fleury will play about 35 games.
Okay.
I don't think he's a starter, obviously, anymore. His body is getting up there. But again, if you can get quality starts from your goalie, sure.
All right. So there goes Jacob Trouba to Nathan. As Anthony, he takes Travis Konechny. Somebody's got to score in Philadelphia and play on that top line. It's going to be him. Chris on the clock now.
Man.
There are two guys I want here with my two picks. Do not take either of them.
All right. I will start with this one. I don't know. Again, I don't know how he's gotten here. I don't know who he is angered in the entire world. His eligibility will be fixed at one point, so he'll play left wing for me. Adrian Kempe is the one.
Okay. It was a guy I was looking at, but not a guy I'm like upset about that I did not get. Let's go. I'm going to Elias Lindholm. I mean, listen, even in a bad year, still produced for them for Calgary.
Yep.
I'll grab him here. No problem. And Sean is now on the turn. We'll see. I was going to take Chikrin, and then I took Lindholm because I thought he would take Lindholm. Let's knock something over.
Man, Sean is really giving it to you today, Adam.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
I mean, start again.
I mean, I'm going to do it. I mean, listen, I know they got Carlson, but we did talk about on the show that they're going to try and spread the love a little bit. So as my D3, I'll take it. Good. You left, Sean. Get the hell out of here.
Thanks for coming, Sean. Take Adam's pick and then leave. I'm going to take bounce back candidate of the year. That'll be Jacob Markstrom.
Yeah, I thought I could maybe wait one more round before looking at my goalie 3. Apparently not the case. So Anthony on the clock now, and Gustav Forsling, underrated defenseman for the Panthers. There could be better this year. And yeah, nothing wrong with that. Take a look at Anthony's team here on the blue line. So he's filled up his blue line. Sergachev, Dunn, Falk, and Forsling. A rock solid 4 there. No, Sergachev is the standout, but then those 3 guys they're pretty consistent. They'll give you what you're expecting.
Yeah, it's not the defense I'm usually going after. I usually like to go after the top tier, but you sacrifice that to get the 2 goalies at the top of the order and, get more standard, more, go-getters on the defense.
Let's pull up Chris's team now. See how we know the defense. He's got the best blue line in the league. Makar, Dahlin, Carlson, Bouchard. I mean,
yeah.
D1, 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 bordering D1, D2 tier. Right there for Bouchard.
Imagine being gifted that kind of quality. It couldn't be me. And
that's the thing. It's not. You haven't really sacrificed much at other positions. You're okay with Kyrou and Cousins. One of the best left wings in Kaprizov. Caulfield. He's going to be, if he stays healthy, he's going to produce more than that. So yeah, and your goaltending, Levi Samsonov and Markstrom. He's going to get wins. He's going to probably be your balance and get a lot of both. Markstrom, and then Levi, if he, blows up this year.
It's not where I wanted to be in life, but that's just how it went. So,
listen, you're making chicken salad out of a certain bodily substance that also comes out of a chicken. So we look at my team now. Other than the Jared McCann pick, which I like my centers here with Bedard, Eichel, and Lindholm very strong down the middle. On the left side, Brady Tkachuk is my left wing 1, is great. They have to look at left wings to try and shore up that it's my left wing 2 is McCann. Very happy with my 2 right wings. Love my top goalie. Wish I had a better goalie too, but I'll deal with Skinner as the goalie 2. My blue line is adequate. I think it's pretty good. Hamilton Petrangelo is a 1-2. Would have loved Chikrin as my 3, but I'll settle for Letang there. You got a bling bling going.
That is me.
Mark Scheifele off the board. There's certainly value there at 151 with Anthony back on the clock.
I'm going to go Tarasenko here. Going to be on the top line with Stützle and Tkachuk.
Nothing wrong with that.
I will continue to add goal scoring to my team. I will add Terry to it.
What's Philip Forsberg's deal? Why is he on the IR again?
He's got a defective heart.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's broken.
Not in the relationship maybe. I don't know. I don't want to speak for his personal life. All right. I can't wait on my goalie 3 anymore. I'm gonna give me Aiden Hill. Boom. I'll take his starts early in the season while Thompson's hurt. And, he's going to balance out, some of those categories that Skinner's going to screw me on. I like that balance there. Yeah, good. Sean's gone. Auto pick, sniping Sean is gone.
Sniping Sean, yes.
Sniping son of a bitch.
I love it. We should get him a jersey. It says Sniping Sean on it.
Sniping Sean. What he did today to me. All right, let's take a look at left wing here because I really need to get some value here. I need to get something that's going to, that might be where I go. What do we think? We think, Patrick Laine not a bad pick to make here. I mean, you guys are not going to help me pick him behind me.
I'm not confirming anything or denying anything. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Well, let's see. So Victor, if auto pick would have taken Laine there, I would not have been happy. Let me just make sure there's nobody on this side I want right now.
Sniping Sean.
Sniping Sean. Hey, give me Laine.
Perfect. I will take Forsberg. Thank you. His heart has been healed.
Wow.
I fixed it.
Wow. So you really just,
He just needed to join this team and everything was fixed.
So what?
I'm not going to lie. When you said Forsberg, my heart skipped a beat. I immediately developed an irregular heartbeat as I had my cursor over him. So I'm glad that worked out for all of us.
Glad it worked out for you, pal. So happy for you.
More specifically, how it worked out for me, though. Just want to make sure.
I mean, that's good for a guy like Forsberg that late. You got to take it. All right, so let's see. He takes Forsberg. Keandre Miller, I'm a big fan of him, man. I think he's gonna. I know he had some rough moments last year, but I think that this year he, kind of is that number 2 power play quarterback behind Fox, and kind of is that second offensive defenseman behind Adam Fox.
I mean, he had some rough moments, but would you say that was his maybe biggest year so far of his career?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure. I think there's more to come from that.
Got about 2 rounds to go here as we get things 2.5 rounds to go. Let's see here. I mean, I gotta look at my roster here. 1, 2. I think I know what I'm doing with my last 2 picks, even though I don't want to do it, but we'll see. Now we're moving. There goes to everyone's favorite: Tom Wilson, Jordan Eberle, Anders Lee, Carter Hart, Michael Bunting, Taylor Hall. Now we're moving here as we get through round 15. Andrei Kopitar going that late.
Oh,
Riley Smith, good spot for him to get him there. Good job by Lenhard. Well, I don't know if he's still with. So who's still with us? It's 1, 2, 3. Kev 4, Ian 5. Kevin, Ian, you guys are the real heroes today. You're the real MVPs.
Real. They're going to have very successful fantasy hockey years.
Yes, just because they're being very courteous to us right now. Oh, and Tippett. I love that. That is a guy I'm going to try and snag late, especially because of the right wing position. Nice snag there by Kim's auto pick.
That was going to be my next pick. So good job, Kim, on the auto. What's the fun in that? You coming into a mock draft and you're already just setting yourself up. Like, what are you doing? What's happening here?
Yeah, I agree.
They were caught at work with their PC open.
Yeah.
So.
That's probably what happened.
Allegedly.
I'll take my 3rd goalie here, and I'm going to go Cam Talbot.
He's going Mr. Talbot. Chris on the clock here. We'll see what he does. I still have a defenseman and a bench spot. So
I'm going to go for some upside here. I wasn't able to get who I wanted, but he will be able to play with him. So I will be happy anyways. Logan Cooley.
If you don't come away with at least one of those in a draft, I am a little concerned about you. Yeah. So let's see. I'm on the clock right now. I mean, do I really want Mackenzie Weegar? I guess at this point I got to take him. All right, fine. He's my defenseman 4. There goes Schmid and Besser, and I'm back on the clock. I need another. I don't have a bench right wing right now, so I need that. And the guy I'm going to take here, Blake Wheeler. He's going to be that number 2 right wing on the Rangers. He's going to get a lot of points just by being there. So he's a guy that just needs to show up.
Got you. I wasn't going to let this man go undrafted because I feel like that would be a disservice to the absolute planet. And again, because since we don't care about plus minus, it's not a thing that we worry about.
Correct. Not on this show.
Trevor Zegras.
That's a good pick.
Just again, I don't know why everybody in this draft has decided to gift me the most talented players for one team, but I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, I didn't get you anything for Christmas this year, so I'm trying to make up for that.
You got me a very good team that we will never know the outcome of how this would have gone in a 26-week time frame, but I'm glad that I was able to put it here. It was, here for a good time, not a long time.
Exactly. I would like to see the fantasy technology get to a point where they play out all your mock drafts for the season just to see how it goes. That would be kind of cool. Anthony, with his the draft is complete just like that in the bat of an eye. Anthony's last pick, he goes Ryan Hartman. Love that because he's a center right wing eligible guy. He plays in Minnesota's top 6. Good team. He's going to get some production there. Love Logan Couture that late. Like there's not many Sharks you're going to look at, but he's a guy that's still going to bring you some value. And then, Killer Kaloran there in Anaheim late. Pavel Zacha is going to have an increased role in Boston. We'll see how that goes. Brian Rust, certainly some nice value there at the end on right wing when he plays. We kind of broke down our teams as we were going along, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. But what were you most happy about with your teams? And let's go to you first. Let's pull your team up on the screen. Who are you most happy with, or what are you most happy with?
Definitely the goalies. Getting Vasilevsky and Ullmark out of the way in the first couple of rounds, I thought was needed. And Talbot as the extra, that bench piece. Obviously, there's no tandem there, but that's okay. I think Talbot will get you some wins there in LA. So that team looks like it's going to be good. I like some of the spots where I got some of these players, like Dubois falling to me. I thought Bratt falling to me was pretty solid. Taking Tarasenko late, who's going to be in that top line in Ottawa. I don't know if I feel 100% on my defense, but, Sergachev up there, you got Dunn, Falk, Forsling, and I think, Keandre Miller. I mean, those are going to be steady guys. Obviously, it's not the top line of like how you saw Chris get those top, 1A, 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 1A guys. That's going to be a stellar defense. But I think, I got some guys there that are definitely going to give me some points, definitely going to give me some hits if that's a big part of the, point package as well in your draft league. So pretty, I think, steady lineup for myself.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head on everything you said, especially your goaltending. I mean, listen, even if Cam Talbot's only going to play 50% of the games, he's still going to – Cam Talbot has a 3 behind Vasilevsky and Ullmark. Not too shabby there. Now let's pull up Chris's team here. We talked about, what was your favorite, besides the blue line, which we all know, what else do you really like about your team?
I was able to get a decent amount of high-end scoring players, so – for me, Kirill Kaprizov is one of them. I think Forsberg can have a bounce back year. I have Cole Caulfield ticketed for 40 goals, so 31 seems like a low. Troy Terry, I think, could have another big year as well. Again, I focus on guys who shoot the puck and score goals. If you look at the number of hits, my players will not be hitting anybody because it is exceptionally hard to hit your opponent when the puck is on your stick. And all these guys that I have it. Jordan Kyrou, Dylan Cousins. I don't think it's terrible. I think those are maybe some underrated players because of the markets they play in. because you don't really talk about them a lot of time. Like those are some pretty good numbers for some young players who are only going to get better. Obviously, my defense is the best that's ever existed. And then adding players like Adrian Kempe, just, Trevor Zegras as well, Logan Cooley. Like, even if Cooley doesn't work out to where it needs to be, it's fine. Adrian Kempe, they have him ticketed for 40 goals, which I think is great. Adding more skill in LA to a team that already was top 5 in shots per game only helps. Zegras is a talented player. At least he gets to play with Troy Terry. I can stay up late and watch those two have fun. The only part that I'm not thrilled about is my goaltending. I think Jason Markstrom is the bounce back candidate. I think he can definitely surpass the 26 win total that he has. I think Devon Levi, I've spoken highly about him. I think he is in a perfect spot to where he needs to be to succeed. And then I just need Ilya Samsonov to literally be breathing and on the ice. And that would be the best case scenario for him. So I think the 27 win total is pretty low. I think he can probably hit 30. I don't know if 35 is in his reach, depending on his health, depending how much he plays. But he is the number one goalie in Toronto. So I expect him to go out and act like one.
Yeah, you're definitely in a situation with your goaltending where you need a lot of things to go right. And if all those things do go right, then you got quite the squad there. But yeah, I think
it's not like I started saying I wanted a workhorse at the top of the show and then not getting one. But sometimes that's how things go in life.
But that is interesting about Samsonov because we talked about good goalies on we'll say like decent goalies on really good teams. Toronto's a way you could go there and not have to spend high draft capital. Let's take my team. We all know how I feel about what happened with McCann there. Maybe a little devil's heavy there on the right side, but I mean, if I have a team that I'm going to be heavy on the right side, that's the team I want to be heavy on the right side. I can't say it enough. Right wing is a position where, you can find like Owen Tippett's of the world late, but it is really tough to find consistent, strong production there, and that's what I try. Cornerstone I try to build around, and I achieve that there. Blake Wheeler, I love the value I got on him late. My blue line. It's good enough,
It's a banger.
As long as everybody stays healthy and does what they're supposed to do, I'm fine. My centers, again, Eichel, Bedard, good stuff. We look at my goaltending. I got my workhorse. I got my guy that's going to get me wins, and I got my guy that's going to balance out the categories that he's going to screw. So there we go.
I actually like your defense a lot. I feel like you got good value out of Letang and Uyghur so late in the rounds there.
I kind of
can shoot the puck, guys who can, hit. They can knock in some block shots there. The full package. Mm-hmm. Like I got high end scoring guys, but they're not blocking shots at all, ever. By accident, maybe.
I'm curious how my draft goes if I get Pavelski there as my bench center versus my 2 left wing, and then how the draft falls. I still think I would get a Blake Wheeler. I still think I would have gotten Letang, but I don't know how the rest.
I'm buying you a Jared McCann jersey for Christmas now, just so he can feel better too.
I'll take it. I don't the white or the blue one. Both jerseys are very nice for the Kraken. I'll take either. Now, speaking of teams that we talked about a team that just expanded recently, the Women's Professional Hockey League, or the Professional Women's Hockey League, as I should call it, was earlier this week. They announced that that's going to happen. We're going to have a season coming up soon. The play will begin in January with 6 franchises in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, New York, Boston, and Minnesota. Teams can begin building their rosters as we speak today with a 10-day free agency period, followed by where they can only sign a max of 3 players, and then a draft is going to follow for that. There'll be a lottery, and then it'll be a snake after that. More details to come in October regarding scheduling and venues. Now, we don't know who's going to play where yet, if it's going to be a neutral site thing or if whatever they're going to do. But if they have games in you two guys both live in areas where they're going to be 2 of those 6 franchises. Would you go down and check out a PWHL game one night?
I would. I mean, I do thoroughly enjoy when the women are playing in the Olympics. I think that's
great hockey.
Very entertaining, good hockey. I do remember the Riveters were playing in the practice facility right next to the Rock, and they had their games there as well. So, and they had a lot of fans coming in to the arena. So, yeah, more power to them. You could not have picked the the sixth best, three in Canada, three in the United States towns for this. Obviously Minnesota, we know how big of a hockey town, whether it's college or what. That's pretty huge. Boston, New York, and Montreal, you're there, Chris. So hockey city right there.
I would definitely watch when women did play Les Canadiennes. They played on the north side of the island. I live on the south side, so nobody really travels to the north end of the island. My apologies to people who live there. It's unfortunate. So I'm hoping that they play on the island exactly where I want them to play, which will be the Virgin Auditorium, which is not too far. It's a great location. Lots of people can get it. But the women's game in general is a good product. I don't know what some people don't think that it is. If you are looking for Connor McDavid-esque skill level, obviously you're not going to find that. But there are a lot of talented women who play hockey, and they are exceptional in their rank of where they are, right? I don't remember a time where I haven't heard about how great Marie-Philippe Poulin has been for Canada and all the golden goals that she has scored for Canada multiple times, or the same thing for Amanda Kessel. And so there is no shortage of elite women that play hockey. And I mean the number one thing about it, not only is it good, 100% it's affordable, because you can take your whole family. You can probably get a couple of hot dogs, a couple of chips, a couple of beers, have an excellent time at a game. And probably for a family, skipping maybe the beer, maybe you have only one, you probably spend $150.
Yeah, you don't have to take a loan to go to the game.
Correct. Easy to get to. Again, assuming they play where I want them to play. There's lots of access to it to get through via public transit. So I enjoy it. I would definitely go watch. Yes.
Now, I would keep fighting for this, but why was this not the opportune time to put a team in Quebec City?
I think because you're trying to keep costs down for a new league and give it a real chance to get going. I mean, not that Quebec City is that far from the Canadian teams or Boston, but I think you're just trying to keep cities that's easy to travel to, flights, all that. So all the logistical reasons, I think, is why you don't go to Quebec City yet. And I would not be the least bit surprised if Gary was like, hey, I support this, but if you're thinking about putting a team there, please don't put a team in Quebec and make me look bad. Because how bad PR would that be for the NHL? You put a women's team in Quebec City and they're packing the building every night. And it's like, oh, you're not going to pack the building with an NHL team there? Come on now. So I think that's part of it. I think it's great. If there was a team in the Bay Area, I would absolutely go. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a girl dad. To the point Chris made about just the talent level there, for sure. Some of the most badass hockey players I ever played with were girls, man. There's this girl, Cheryl, I used to play roller hockey with. I probably outweighed her by 65 pounds. I ain't going in a corner with her. No. And she was one of the better puck movers. So, for people like, oh, girls hockey. No. You don't know what you're talking about. Go watch it and then tell me you still feel that way. So, and then the other reason that's good about girls hockey, and Chris is not going to like this reason, it's one of the few areas in hockey where the United States kind of has it over Canada a little bit, since you pretty much have it over us in the men's. Here's my assessment of USA versus Canada. USA will beat Canada in round robin play, but in the medal round, Canada will always prevail when it matters in the men's. With the women, it's a 50-50 shot. We got a chance every time. Yeah, I see the looks you're giving up there. I don't think
I will say that. So I will say that the parity in women's hockey, obviously for Canada and the United States, is there, right? So Canada produces some of the top tier talent. The United States does as well. And here's the thing that a lot of people I don't think talk about. By having this league, you will continue to develop players in other countries as well. We know that teams like Sweden, teams like Finland,
Russia.
Austria, something like Russia, these are great programs for men, right? And we know that. But maybe the women's game lacks a little bit, because we know that, and we watch them in tournaments, right? Finland, the women's Finnish team will play Canada, United States, and it's not close because the skill gap is just massive. But when you allow players at one point to try to get to the best league in the world, you will end up developing more. It's just like it's science. So all around for it, right? It's great. And then one day you'll see hockey continue, like you said, to expand, and you will see it maybe head north to Quebec City or even farther out west, places like Winnipeg, farther down south, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, places like that. So I do think it's good. I will say this too. To me, Haley Wickenheiser is probably the best female hockey player to ever play, and she is Canadian.
Listen, and you're right. The parity, it's kind of like it is USA, Canada, and then everybody else. It's a big shock if in the women's side, if it's not USA, Canada, and that's great for us, maybe. But like you said, you got a women's league now. There's more spots. There's, that's the thing right now is there really wasn't a place for, you have all these great women hockey players, and they can play in the world tournaments and the Olympics, but
you need somewhere to hone your skill, right? Like year end, and to be able to just let's just say make a living out of it. You should be able to play professionally a sport, right? Doesn't matter which one it was, soccer, hockey, basketball, whatnot. You should be able to play professionally and make a living out of it, especially when you have to dedicate the time and everything, the resources and just training and everything. Like you can't, do something else, right? You have to be into your sport in the same way it is, let's say for, minor league baseball players. You can't be having a third, second job while you're trying to, figure out how to hit a curveball on the inside so you can get to the big leagues. So to me, it's excellent, and it can only keep getting better. And I do think that continued partnerships like the NHL and every other sponsor that want, like everybody wants it to succeed. So now it's just making sure that it does.
Absolutely.
You got to get it to, the wavelength that, the WNBA is right now.
Yeah. Like you can watch WNBA on TV. I want to be able to watch, women's hockey on TV and say, hey, instead of, let's be honest, instead of having to stay up late and watch Arizona and Anaheim, no offense to either of those teams, maybe I'll watch, the replay of the women's game, whatever the Montreal team is called and whatever the Toronto team or any of the other teams are called.
If they're smart too, we know the NHL is busy on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Those are their heavy nights. Schedule the women's games on Monday, Wednesday. If I know Friday's kind of like a dead zone for TV, but put the women's game on a night where the NHL hockey is light, so that, because let's face it, I'll watch a random Canucks Coyotes game, no problem. But there are plenty of hockey fans out there that they like their team and that's it. Maybe they flip around and like, oh, yeah, this is new league. Let me give this. Let me watch this for a period, and all of a sudden,
especially in those markets, like you don't have to cater. Like, I know people live out west, but you don't have to cater to those people immediately because those are not the people who are watching it directly, anyways, right? You're putting these franchises in these cities. These are all East Coast teams for a reason. Cater to those people and make sure that they can be able to watch it. Don't compete with other different things. People who watch their beloved sports will continue to watch it, right? Like you're not drawing fans away from watching NFL on Monday night, but for people who want to watch hockey and for people who want to enjoy that, give them the opportunity. Don't make them choose between, the sport that they already, the male side and the female side of it. Just don't make it that hard.
Like if it's the Leafs are on versus the women's team, like that's not going to be a good recipe for ratings, but on the Leaf off nights, sure. Yeah. And I'm gonna have to look over Chris's snipe at the West Coast because it is true. I will say it is. I lived in the East Coast for 33 years, and then I moved. There is totally an East Coast bias, and just better. But there's a reason for it. So, but
I feel no pity every time I listen to the West Coast people have to tell me that they have to get their lineups in by like 4 p.m. Right, and I'm like, that's fine, but you can also go to sleep at a reasonable hour. Like, how many times I've had to stay up late and sweat something, just like sweat San Jose 1 or something and see how that finishes. No one has fun doing that. No one does.
Especially if you stay up and you lose.
Those are the worst. Those are the games I fall asleep to. I watch a ton of West Coast hockey because it is, it is great watching, again, no offense to Anaheim, no offense to Arizona, but it is very relaxing to be able to fall asleep watching those two offenses sometimes go.
No, when I was in the East Coast, I miss falling asleep. Like I don't have 10 o'clock hockey where I live now. I miss that. Like you get into bed, like, all right, I'll throw a Calgary Flames game on and make it through a period or two before I, zonk out. But I will say the one advantage, from a fantasy perspective, if it's a 3 a.m. Eastern waiver process, if you can make it up to
is.
midnight,
Yeah, I know.
See, one, you get first pick.
It balances out. So I don't feel bad for you. When I hear these West Coasters crying their little tears here, I give them the smallest piece of Kleenex possible and say, here, please pick up your tears. Stop it. It's in the middle of the night. If I want to place waivers, I got to wake up at 3 a.m. like an absolute degenerate.
Yeah, I believe me. There are football season's here, and I will be up late on Wednesday nights for sure.
There you go. 1 o'clock games. You guys could lock at what? 10 o'clock? I went to Vegas once. 10 o'clock. I'm watching football, having a great time, sipping on coffee and eating 2 eggs with bacon and brown toast.
I could go on a 10-minute monologue on why West Coast football watching is better than East Coast football watching, but I will tell you this: when the Super Bowl ends on the East Coast and people are like, "Oh God, it's already 11 o'clock," I'm cleaned up and by 8. My Super Bowl is done. I can have a normal night. So
no part of me is crying that you have to, endure certain things on the West Coast. I'm not crying for you. Sorry.
West Coast is best coast. Just gonna throw that out there. And on that note, that'll do it for this edition of Bettor Hockey Now here on the Bettor Sports Network. We'll be back with you real soon here. I hope you're enjoying your Labor Day weekend in the States. You got that up in Canada too this weekend?
Absolutely. I got fantasy football drafts Labor Day Monday, 2 on Sunday. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have a different Thanksgiving, so I didn't know. I wasn't sure.
That's fair.
But we're gonna be back with you real soon here on Bettor Hockey Now. The season's right around the corner. We're gonna be doing future previews with betting. We still got a dynasty draft to go. So much more. Bettor Hockey Now. Be back with you real soon.
Bettor Hockey Now is on the Bettor Sports Network.